We're now going to go to Croatia. So we're going to Croatia now, where we will talk about heritage to do with the Franciscan province of Croatia. And I would like, therefore, to introduce Reverend Sister Krista Mijatović, who is the secretary of the Croatian Religious Conference, and Dr. Cindori, who is a counselor, advisor in the University of Zagreb. Their talk, libraries of religious patrimony from the past and vision for the future, the example of the Croatian province of St. Cyril and Methodius.
Dear organizers, dear brothers and sisters, dear participants, I'm very delighted to have an opportunity to participate in this international conference dealing with cultural heritage of religious communities. Moreover, I'm honored to have been invited by Sister Krista Mijatović, a secretary of the Croatian Conference of Religious, to participate as a representative of the National and University Library in Zagreb in Croatia. I have been working at the National and University Library in Zagreb as a library advisor for academic and special libraries, providing advisory and professional help for libraries. Our presentation today, titled Libraries of Religious Communities, Heritage from the Past and Vision for the Future, with the example of the Croatian Franciscan province of St. Cyril and Methodius, is a result of the collaboration of the Croatian Conference of Religious and the National and University Library in Zagreb that started in 2020. Our aim was to explore and determine the number of existing libraries within religious communities in Croatia and to gather data on their holdings in order to consider the possibilities and strategies for the potential subsequent creation of a database of the heritage of the religious communities and their library collections, as well as to explore and determine their compliance with the current Croatian law on libraries and library activities. That was adopted in 2019. Moreover, on the example of the Croatian Franciscan province of St. Cyril and Methodius, we aimed at presenting a step forward that has been done by the Croatian Franciscan province that has so far achieved the greatest progress in organizing, processing, and managing its libraries and providing access to data on their holdings. This presentation will cover all the stages of our research, the context and methodology of the research, results and interpretation of the conducted survey, that is a questionnaire, and in the second part of the presentation, the case study, that is the organization, processing, and the management of the libraries and collections on the Franciscan province of St. Cyril and Methodius, in providing access to their holdings and heritage, and finally, conclusions regarding contributions, limitations, and possibilities for future research and development of the libraries of the religious communities in Croatia. We believe the value of our research is that it is the first overview of existing library collections and libraries of religious communities in Croatia, also in relation to the Croatian law on libraries and library activities. Let me say now a few words about libraries of religious communities in Croatia. According to the law on libraries and libraries activities, Libraries of religious communities belong to private libraries that, in addition to prevailing public libraries, make up the Croatian library system. Nowadays, according to the Registry of Libraries in the Republic of Croatia, that is since 2020 publicly available and administered by the National and University Library in Zagreb, and which provide basic information on all libraries in Croatia. There are around 9,700 libraries registered in Croatia. Alongside academic, university, research, public and school libraries in Croatia, libraries of religious communities belong to the group of special libraries. There are around 150 special libraries registered in the Registry of Libraries in the Republic of Croatia, including collections of libraries of religious communities, although most of them are not operating as active libraries, but are, according to the Croatian law, considered library collections. The reason for that is that the religious communities do not have a professional librarians employed in the library or a person in charge of their libraries. This slide shows details from the Registry of Libraries in the Republic of Croatia, with a list of special libraries, including Franciscan libraries, and details on the registry entry, from type of library, its title, address, relevant document related to its founding, name of the responsible person, the head of the library, etc. The research we are presenting today was initiated due to lack of research and knowledge regarding collections and libraries of religious communities in Croatia. Until today, there were some papers dealing with individual monasteries that are especially significant due to their centuries-old role in preserving cultural heritage and national identity. Some of them deal with collections and libraries within monasteries and cloister monasteries, but remain at the level of individual religious communities. Obstacles to researching so far were related to distrust of religious communities in public institutions during the period of communism, including the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Culture of the Republic of Croatia, as well as the central role of the National and University Library in Zagreb. But as I have mentioned before, the cooperation with the Croatian Conference of Religious and the National and University Library in Zagreb has been established, as well as the cooperation with individual monasteries in the Republic of Croatia. The goal of the first part of our research, in which 23 female, 6 cloister monasteries, and 10 male religious communities and provinces in Croatia, that is 108 communities and monasteries in total participated, was to collect relevant data of their libraries and library collections. The tool used to carry out the research was a questionnaire containing 19 questions spread out on 5 pages. The questionnaire contained a wide range of topics, including the number and distribution of libraries and library collections, the period in which they were founded, their scope, the type, the organization of library materials, the frequency of their use, and the role that library collections and libraries have at present and will have in the future. Requests for publication participation in the research, together with the questionnaire, was sent out via email to women and men religious superiors, who then contributed information and providing necessary data. The following 3 slides show data provided by the questionnaire. Female religious communities supplied 55, male religious communities 47, and cloister monasteries filled 6 questionnaires. The most represented from the female religious communities were Daughters of Mercy and Sisters of Mercy of the Holy Cross, with the participation of their 10 and 11 local communities respectively. 4 of the female religious communities participated with 3 to 5 local communities, while 10 local communities supplied answers for their respective library collections. Among the male religious communities, the most represented were 2 provinces of the Croatian Franciscan province of St. Cyril and Methodius that supplies data on 26 libraries and library collections, and the Third Order Regular of St. Francis of Penance, providing data on 10 local communities. The Dominicans and Salesians describes 3 of their libraries, and there were also data on 5 more local male libraries and the library collections. So in total, 108 libraries and collections were identified in our research. The survey results show that each convent has its own library, or at least a library collection, which contain library material from the 11th century until today, and holds from 500 to 50,000 volumes, ranging from incunabula to recently printed materials. Libraries are in general not catalogued. They are mostly used by members of religious communities. So to conclude, religious communities are aware of the great importance and valuable cultural heritage of their libraries, but they have limited possibilities in preserving it, making an inventory of it, ensuring its protection, and enabling access to them due to the lack of financial resources, professional librarians among their communities, and the necessary expert advice and guidance of the competent institutions and ministries. So, in the operation of each library, public and private, as well as libraries of religious communities, there are several and necessary stages, from identification, registration, processing, digitization, and finally, promotion. And the last slide of the first part of our research symbolizes the richness of the European and Croatian digital landscape, with their digital libraries, virtual exhibitions, and other digital content and resources. As a national librarian, I believe libraries of religious communities will also take part in it very soon. I thank you for your attention. Now you will hear the second part of our research.
Good afternoon. I kindly greet all of you. I'm very glad to be here today with you. The second part of research is case study, an example focused on Croatian Franciscan province of St. Cyril and Methodius. There were 20 libraries were being considered in this study, carrying material dating from the 15th century, meaning incunabula, until today. Libraries encompass from 3,000 to 50,000 volumes, in total 250,000 volumes, written in different languages and scripts, covering a multitude of fields: philosophy, literature, geography, medicine, and etc. Places of publication include Venice, Bologna, Strasbourg, Köln, Basel, and so on. As you can see, in libraries' collections and holdings, there are many rare and old books. The largest contribution consists of books from the 18th century, consisting of 5,138 volumes. The project of cataloging library materials, identifying cultural goods, and giving access to them through the online catalog began 12 years ago and is still carried out. It has been done by volunteers Juraj Lokmer and Fila Bekavac-Lokmer, who are retired professionals for rare books and special collections, with cooperation partners in local communities and governments. Budget included contributions from the resource of province and a local government. Cataloging, as I have already said, is still in progress, partially due to big demands that come along with the process, with about 36,000 bibliographic and normative records already finished using ISBN standard in the Unimark format. Bibliographic records available through the online catalog also contain a digital copy of the same resource from some European library. Identification of cultural goods consists of 3 steps: necessary documentation, registration, and getting status of cultural good. It happens in cooperation with National and University Library in Zagreb and Ministry of Culture and Media. All libraries are registered in the Register of Libraries in the Republic of Croatia as special libraries. Library collections are registered as cultural goods in several collections. You can see on slide, so I won't read it aloud. In regard to identification of cultural goods, the needed documentation consists of the bibliography and photo documentation, while elaboration and inquiry about the status of the cultural good are also the 2 inevitable steps in the process. Here we can see one bibliographic record of Bible, which contains the data elements necessary to identify the resource, as well as additional information. Here is one photographed resource. It can be seen as a high-resolution images in different views, rotating, 2-sided view, etc. This is digitized resource. One example of the resource with the necessary metadata and the details on its use. Catalog was presented to significant institutions in Croatia, like Croatian Conference of Religious and Croatian Conference of Bishops, Ministry of Culture and Media, and so on. Maybe the most important fact is that some other Franciscan provinces in Croatia also decided to add their libraries to catalog. And to conclude, the project itself encourages religious communities to be more engaged in learning about their own written heritage, contributes to strengthening of the mutual trust and cooperation between church and the state, as well as raises awareness of the fact that the materials must be processed, valued, preserved, and presented. Although the conducted research is just a starting point in the research of the collections and libraries, it provides opportunities for its development. Future goals may include further involvement of other religious communities in the analysis in order to contribute to their organization, management, and providing access, as well as possible comparisons with similar research in other countries. Thank you for your attention.